Hello and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into this week's episode, be sure to head on over to Patreon at patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast. Just for $5 a month, you help support the show and you get free bonus content over there. But no main show content is locked behind the Patreon. But getting into this week's movie, we are talking about 2016's Cell, directed by Todd Williams and with a screenplay written by Adam Aleka and Stephen King. Oh my God, he actually helped write this movie,
Oh, that
which we'll
explains
we'll
a
get.
lot.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. Supposedly he helped write this movie, but when production went in, he was totally like cut out of this, and production was just absolutely insane. Yeah, so this is a Stephen King movie. I don't think we've ever talked Stephen King on the podcast,
What's your
right? Like
favorite? What's your favorite Stephen King book or movie?
movie? I don't know. That's a tough one. Misery is really good. I like
I like
Misery.
I like Misery a lot.
Yeah,
I
and
was I was I was gonna say The Shining, but now you said The Misery. Well, no, Shawshank Redemption. Okay, I'll say that.
yeah, I was gonna say yeah, Shawshank Redemption's a fantastic one. I'll be one of the commoners on IMDb.
Be like
Um,
number. I hate it when it lost the number one spot.
did it lose the number one spot?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. I feel like there's a group of people just making sure that one stays on top, making new accounts. But no, I mean that's seriously good movie. Stephen King movies can be good, and then you can have some really awful ones too. Like there's like Thinner, don't like that movie. Trying to think what the any mini series like the
The
Langoliers.
Langoliers. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking of.
yeah,
Or
but
the Shining miniseries.
exactly, yeah, and
Which
like
wait, because he hated the Shining movie, and then then they made the Shining miniseries, which nobody liked. He was like, "Yes, this is perfect.
this
I
is what I
approve."
wanted. My book is actually garbage. I wanted that to show through. And I'm joking there because I do like Stephen King as a writer. I think he's a good writer, very cliched writer. You read multiple of his books and you pretty much just see the same thing a lot of the times, but that's fine. Cell is one that I've never read. That is a book that did get adapted into a movie. This one stars John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson, which is that they're back at it again because they were already in a Stephen King movie. They were
That's
in,
true.
they were in 1408, which is actually I'd put that in the good category. I remember liking that movie.
That's a good movie.
Uh,
Did you know 14? Oh, if you add all the numbers up, it's 13.
that's so scary. Oh my God. Uh, there's no 13th floor, right? That's like oh my God. Please, no horror in this because let me tell you, Cell is a horror movie. It is not
No,
a
there's no horror.
scary
I was
movie.
about to say there's no horror in this one either.
Maybe horrible acting. Am I right? Horrible visual effects. No, this movie, I knew it was bad going in. Wow, this is a bad movie. Like just a straight up horrible
Uh,
movie.
yeah, this movie is pretty bad. I mean, it's like really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is just Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack just like completely phoning it in.
Oh yeah,
Like
they don't care.
just not even like a shred of acting is done in this movie. Just like John Cusack just sounds like completely bored throughout the
Hmm.
whole time, and Samuel L. Jackson doesn't have like any emotion. Like, you always think like Samuel L. Jackson being like such a presence on screen. It's just like, and I'm like, you could literally recast him with any other actor and it would be about the same.
Yeah, and yeah, he can't even deliver lines like, "Oh, I'm not going up there." A black man going up to that door. That sounds like a perfect Samuel L. Jackson funny line. Can't even deliver that line in any way. It's obvious that they knew this movie was going to be bad, and I don't know why they. Well, I know why they did it. They both will do anything. Samuel L. Jackson is my most watched actor for a reason, and then John Cusack, he's a weird anomaly. That's like a career just to like look into about how like he used to be in really good things, and then his career just like tanked hard.
Well, like he's been in like some of like the most notable like 80s movies or
Hmm.
like just like actually like one of like an actor like people would like look out for at one
Yeah.
point and then somewhere along the way he just stopped doing good movies.
Yeah, he just started being in crap. Like it was so weird. I went to the theater recently, and in the trailers, it was a trailer for like a Chinese movie, which was already kind of an odd thing. And then he pops up in this Chinese movie with like a bunch of Chinese actors. And usually, when an American actor goes to China's and movies like that, they're like at the end of the line. Like Bruce Willis did that at the end of his career.
Yeah. That's why I was like, everyone was giving Bruce Willis a bunch of shit for being in all those really
Yeah,
awful movies. But then you're like, you find out it's like, oh, he had trouble remembering all of his lines and he did it just so he could make sure his family was set up for the rest of their life. And you're just like,
yeah.
oh, and like, you don't, it doesn't
You feel
feel as good,
bad.
doesn't feel as good to say those things. But this one, I'm just like, I hope there's nothing horrible going on in their lives, but it
I,
feels I was like I just said whatever bills had to be whatever debts had to be paid, I hope they were paid with this
Yeah,
movie.
their gambling debts. Uh, but yeah, so this movie is a killer cell phone movie. So John Cusack, we open up. Of course, he's an artist. He's struggling, and he has a wife and kids, or a wife and a child that are estranged from him. And right before the phones start killing people, his phone stops working, and the phone cuts off the payphone. And then there's a signal that runs through all the phones, and anybody using their phones get turned into like zombies. Everyone calls them flocks because they act like birds in this movie. They start
What
foaming at the mouth.
what
Go
are they
ahead.
called? What no, there's something else that they're called. I can't remember. What are they called? Like
I have to
wasn't
look.
it wasn't it called like seller phoners?
Oh God. I honestly don't remember. Because like this is like one of those. I wish I remember because like it's one of those zombie movies where everybody has the same term for zombie that's not zombie, and like but everyone uses the same word for
Phoners?
somehow.
Is it phone?
Phoners?
Is it that?
That sounds about right.
I can't remember.
We'll
But
call
anyway,
them phoners, but if we I knew we were getting into some bad stuff because the beginning is bad just from like
but
an editing
phoner, it
standpoint.
is phoner.
That's
It's
phoner. Okay. Just from like an editing standpoint, it's poorly done. Just like a lot of quick cuts. They speed up the camera on the infected.
well, I knew, well, one, I mean, like I knew right away. Like, okay, first off, like, did you know like how I don't ever really notice or like a comment how bad opening credits are, but I was like
Oh my God, these were so bad.
I
Yeah.
was like I was like this is noticeably bad. Like, because I am not a details guy, but it's just like it's like, oh, like let's put a black box and then a white with white text over the movie.
Yeah, it was so weird. It's just B-roll of people in the airport, but still, it's like it's not even like a transparent black box. It's
No.
literally covering the screen. I
Yeah.
noticed that too. It was I don't know, and I would if I was an editor and I put that together, I wouldn't be putting my name front and center like this
No,
guy.
I was like, whoever designed those opening credits just that's awful. That was so bad. And so right away I was like, okay, that's a choice, but whatever. But then he has this little like heartfelt conversation with his son, and it's just like, oh, daddy, I want you to come home,
Hmm.
and they're like, and he's like, yeah, yeah, I'll get there when I get there, type of thing. And you could tell him and his wife are on the rocks and
Hmm.
all that. But when all the zombies or phoners start coming to life, just immediately right away, it just like so stupid looking. And it's just
Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah, oh yeah, it looks so bad. You can the visual effects, the money that when it the budget must have gone into the actors because they had no money for special effects of any kind.
no,
It's like scary cheap. It's like when we watched the Thor movie, the Asylum movie, it's honestly looked like that.
it's on par with that. It is. And they just like they're flopping around or convulsing on the floor, just like, ooh, and they're like or like they take like or like foam comes out of their mouth immediately right away. Like one of the TSA agents is eating one of the security dogs,
Uh-huh.
and a girl's like, "Oh no, I need to call 911." And then she starts dialing the phone number, and then she's like like type of thing, and just like slams her head onto the wall until it's bleeding. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then really late in the movie, a plane crashes. A little behind what you would think. This plane crashes, and the explosion and the planes hitting in the sky looks so bad. Like so bad. And like there's glass flying. Oh my God. But don't worry, John Cusack, he gets away, and this is where he meets Samuel L. Jackson, who's like a subway train driver. And they leave with a DJ, just like
DJ
walk,
Liquid.
yeah, DJ Liquid. And I was like, okay, it's like a team up movie. These two lose so many teammates along the way, so many like people that could be a part of their squad.
You know, I that's like one thing I really hated about the movie was just like how many characters like they're introducing into this movie.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just like, who cares? Like I do not like
Exactly.
I have zero attachments to any of these characters at all. And I'm like, it's almost like they try to do a mini series or like a TV show type of thing where it's like
Hmm.
this episode they go to this camp, and then this episode they go to this camp, they go to this bar, and they meet these like weird um like zombie killers or whatever. And
Yeah.
just
Could this was this made around when like Walking Dead was a big deal?
I don't
2016. It kind of has a similar feel, like, oh,
I
let's kill off these characters.
I think Walking Dead was like at a pretty big height, or I know it was watched a lot back
Yeah.
then, but I but that's what it felt like. It felt like he was just like, oh, this is like my version of Walking Dead type of thing. And
I, yeah.
but yeah, they immediately ditch DJ Liquid. DJ Liquid dies, and they even like
Mhm.
bring him up later. It's like, oh man, I can't believe when that kid died. And it's just
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
the delivery's so weird too, because Samuel L. Jackson's like, when DJ, what's his name? And like it doesn't even act like he's like recollecting. He's just sitting there and he's Liquid. That's right. Like it's like no effort put into that.
Yeah, and like again, like there's no emotion delivered in these lines, and they just sound so bored to be
Yeah.
in this movie.
And they all drink so much in this movie. You notice
Mhm.
how, like, and it's not ever brought up, but so many times they're just chugging alcohol, drinking beers. I know Stephen King's a recovering alcoholic. I feel like he lives his dreams through his characters.
I mean, aren't a lot of them like aren't a lot of his characters like alcoholics? Like,
Alcoholic writers. That's
yeah.
usually, we don't get that here, but we get an alcoholic graphic novelist.
Well, technically, he did write the graphic novel too.
He did. I mean, yeah, he's done so much. So you know what? Yeah, I mean, it's literally just him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
But then a girl shows up at their door. Isabel Furman, who you might know as Orphan. That's Orphan in that role. Um,
Oh, so this is after Orphan.
Yes, yeah, this is after Orphan, yeah. And she like killed her mom. She's covered in blood. And I feel like she's the only character that seems to like somewhat care about what she's doing. Not that it's any good, but I feel like
Eh,
she's okay, at least compared to everyone else,
Out of everyone in this movie, she's probably the best actor in this whole
which is
thing
crazy to say.
because she gives the best performance because it's like she actually does seem to care as a character what's happening on screen.
Hmm.
And but at the same time, it's like I don't. I mean,
I don't care.
what's her character though? It's like I
Yeah,
have.
you're right. Yeah, she killed her mom, and otherwise she's just like quiet and like falls along. She has a really bad line later in the movie when she's talking to that one kid, and she's like, "Do you play first-person shooter games?" And then hands him a gun. I don't know. I thought that was just kind of like weirdly worded. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, they become a team up. And one of the big problems with this movie is I just got really bored because there's a lot of them walking and doing nothing.
Um, they do go to a house, right? Because they do spend the night at John Cusack's apartment and they do
Hmm.
see like all of his art and stuff that he's done.
Hmm.
And they're just like, oh yeah, like, I drew all this for my graphic novel. And then they decide they don't, it's best not to stay there. Like he wants to go, John Cusack wants to go find his, wife and son.
Hmm.
And they end up falling into like this abandoned house and they miraculously find like a bunch of guns.
Yep. Yeah, and they find like two dead bodies with like one person had a gun in their hand. I think it's supposed to be a sad moment because John Cusack looks like grossed out. I didn't feel anything.
Well, we do get to see that, I was really glad to see they had a cameo in this movie. The kid from Deliverance, he didn't look like he's aged a day on when he was sitting on that swing set.
Yeah, oh wow. Yeah. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, it was like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
40 years later, and I was like, man, he looks great for his age.
Oh yeah, isn't that crazy? Some those Hollywood celebrities with their plastic surgery, some of them just they it doesn't show, they just look
Uh,
stay young forever.
yeah, he's a bit of a diva, I heard, but
Yeah, the real terror on set.
no, I that was my thought though. Well, like, so they're supposed to be these mindless zombies or whatever, and we
Hmm.
saw like the TSA agent eating the dog earlier, and then
Yeah.
now this phoner kid is holding, I guess, the family dog and just totally fine with it. It's like, oh yeah, it's like petting the dog.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of that. You're right. Yeah, I'd like to think that the cop at the beginning just had like a taste for dogs already. And
He just like acted on his urges, like, no, what do a dog taste like? And then now that he's a full zombie, he can eat the dog guilt free.
Exactly. Yeah, that is odd that they would do that. But yeah, that's where they learn that like if one phoner sees people, all of them know or everyone sees it because they're connected like a hive mind, like through cell phone towers.
Yeah,
One really weird element of this was that John Cusack has drawn the devil in his graphic novel, and then that character appears in the dreams of everybody. Almost like the devil is in control of everything that's going on. That didn't click for me at
that was
all.
so stupid. Like
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
like, I was like, okay, it's gonna lead to some type of supernatural, like, this is all being controlled by one person
Hmm.
type of thing. And if that's the case, they didn't really make it that clear because there's like the scene where like the devil, like the kid, it's like a kid in a red hoodie,
Hmm.
and he's like getting a blowjob or whatever, like in
Yeah,
John
what was
Cusack's.
that?
And
Well, and it makes it seem like everybody else had the same exact dream, and there's like an actual like child in the group, and I was like, no, he saw that, but I guess they all have different
they
versions
they
of
said they had
dreams.
different dreams. He's like, oh, he did this to me, and like, oh, he did it, that
Yeah,
type of
but
thing. And
why
so,
is John Cusack dreaming of him getting getting
yeah,
sucked off? That's weird.
it was weird. And they never really pay that angle off. Like they do show the devil later, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't pose a threat.
No,
It just gets run over by a car, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's it, I guess. And then
no, yeah, this movie has no answers, and it's not like in a cryptic, like figure it out for yourself kind of way. It's like in a, no, I don't know how to explain this kind of way.
uh they go they find like a private school or whatever, where it's like a school for boys,
That's right, yeah.
and Stacy Keach is there, who doesn't do anything.
Oh yeah,
And
he's just here. He's
yeah,
gonna
he's just
die in
there.
5 minutes.
And I was like, the biggest head scratcher in this movie was just like, they're like, oh, we found a song that keeps the phoners away, and it's that Trololo song, like, yeah, 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 oh,
Yeah,
oh, oh. I'm like, what?
yeah, I
I'm
thought.
like, what year is this?
Yeah, why did they pick that song? And, like, yeah, it was so odd. And they play it in a stadium and keep him down. And like Stacy Keach is so weird because I guess him and the boy, they're so smart, they just know everything about them. And they're
Hmm.
like, as long as the song keeps playing, we're good. But then John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson are like, no, we're gonna run him over and kill him. Let's do that. So they fill up like a water truck to water the fields with alcohol and then they run them over, which this looks miserable, like so bad. There's a car scene that's even worse later, but the visual effects of them running over the zombies is so awful.
It looks
Um,
really bad.
and not only that, they light the zombies on fire, and there's a big fake explosion. Bye bye, Stacy Keach. You're out of the movie. We just needed you for like a little bit. Why even put someone like him in this movie?
I don't know. I'm just like, literally, you could have gotten anybody, and it wouldn't have made any difference. And but they do bring the boy with them,
Hmm.
and then they end up going to this bar,
Hmm.
or it's like a pub or whatever, because it's like this English guy. It's like, because Samuel L. Jackson's like, man, what? Nobody likes English food. And he's like, oh, I like English food. It's just,
It's so stupid.
and they all sit around and get drunk again
Yeah, as usual.
until one of them turns into a phoner and they end up having a big zombie fight, which,
Orphan dies.
yeah, and then they're just like, and it's supposed to be this really sad moment when she
Mhm.
dies, and this is because like she's being held like in her last moments of being alive, like, and just fades away type of thing, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna bring this boy with us still. I'm just like, who is it? Like, I don't.
Yeah, they're just trading kids. That's what it felt like in that moment. It's just like, why do they just keep bringing like kids with them? It's odd, or like just people much younger than them. Just like it's
Well,
been a bad track record this whole time.
well, it wasn't even like they kept the girl, and I'm like, I'm just like, why even like just in the theory of this story,
Yeah.
why replace this girl with this one boy? This boy's not adding anything to this movie.
No, exactly. Yeah. It is odd that they just, and that's when I go to like a Walking Dead type thing where it's like, oh, isn't it crazy? We kill off this character that you've grown to love, but I didn't grow to love any of these characters or anything.
No, it was all bad.
And I mean, and it gets worse from there because there's this whole scene where they meet two people in like a truck, and one of them's like crazy because he's not sleeping because he's like, oh, I won't turn in the one if I don't sleep, and they have like their cousin or no, it's like the wife's brother zombie is
Yeah.
like a beacon, like he'll go off if there's other ones
Oh,
nearby.
well, those characters are like the Daryl characters or whatever of Walking Dead, where it's just like, I don't know what's going on, but I love killing phoners type of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's exactly what it's like. Um, yeah, but that could, and then that's kind of like a zombie thing. The new people come in and they screw up instantly, because they end up killing his brother because his brother makes a noise like John Cusack's son. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Which do you think, did they hear what did they hear, like the boy talking, or or is that John Cusack just only hearing his son?
I think it was actually his son because, well, I guess I don't know because Samuel L. Jackson, he's like, that's not your son. That wasn't your son. And I can't tell if that was like him just like saying like, oh, it's a zombie. It's not your
Well,
son.
because
Or if he didn't know, if he was like, no, that didn't sound like your son.
he did say like Johnny or whatever is his name, like and he's just like, that's not your son. That's because I thought like either he was reacting to John Cusack thinking like, okay, he's saying
Mhm.
Johnny, so maybe he thinks he could hear his son,
Mhm.
or can Samuel L. Jackson like hear a little boy's voice coming out of this zombie?
Yeah, it doesn't do a good job of explaining if what's real or not, and not in any like positive way. Also, I gotta say, his name is Clayton Riddell,
Hmm.
but John Cusack pronounces his own name at one point as Riddle, and
Yeah.
then Samuel L. Jackson later calls him, "Oh, it was good being with you, Clayton Riddell." So they couldn't even be on like like on the same wavelength for his name.
Hmm.
So bad.
Just
Um,
very, you could tell how much John Cusack cared about this movie. It
he
just,
didn't correct him. He was like, ah, fuck it.
yeah. So,
um,
but
but
the big ending of the movie though is he John Cusack takes the country guy's van because after the guy explodes himself, like because he just doesn't want to go on anymore after his family died, and then
Yeah.
he's like, here, call this number and it'll help you in your time of need or whatever.
Um,
And he drives to the cell phone tower.
Alone, he
And
leaves everyone behind.
well, yeah, because Tom and I guess or Samuel L. Jackson and this little boy are gonna go to Canada, just the two of them, I guess.
Yeah,
And
because there's a safe haven in Canada.
and they go out there and he sees a cell phone tower and it's just these zombies running in a circle.
Yeah, and a
A
really bad CGI circle.
really, really bad CGI. And then he sees his son and he's like, "Oh my God, Johnny!" And he hugs him.
I do have to say he drives through the zombies and
Oh yeah,
and the visual effects instead of him running over the zombies, I don't know if you noticed this, he pushes them forward and they kind of just like slide back. Like they didn't do an animation for him getting
like
ran over.
like
So they
Moses
just
parting the Red Sea.
yeah, exactly. It's it's so bad. But yes, yeah, he finds his son.
Yeah, and the he dials a phone number and everything blows up.
Hmm.
But oh, and that explosion, horrible. Like
Horrible.
really like awful. Like
Yeah, if you don't have a visual effects budget, don't don't make so many scenes about visual effects. That's like the lesson to learn from this movie.
but yeah, they do the fake out where it shows like Tom or it shows Clay or John Cusack and his son like it's supposed to be like them like walking to heaven, I guess. It's like, where are we going, Dad? To Canada to see my friends.
And then it
Eh,
has like a really dark scene where he's walking with the phoners because he's just another one of them now.
yep, it was all a dream. He got infected and that was it.
Yeah.
So he called that phone number and there was no explosion. It was just like, oh, you just get turned into a phone.
Yeah, he just tricked him. The biggest.
Yeah.
It was there the whole time. The troll song was playing, and then he got trolled in the end. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, awful movie. Just like really, just not
Atrocious.
good. Yeah, like I can't believe. I don't know. Yeah, I just no recommendation here. There's much better you can do. Just watch 1408 if you need to watch these two in a Stephen King movie.
Yeah, watch them. Very clearly, like competent movie,
Hmm.
memorable performances, and I would say go out of your way to watch that one. This one, you don't. This should be like one of those that just people just it'll just be gone. Like at a certain point.
Which I think it is, but I had to dig it up for us.
Yes.
But anyway, that wraps it up for this one. Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we're gonna be going back to high school, Nathan. I need to go.
I do that in my nightmares.
And yeah, it's the day of the exam and you forgot to wear pants.
No.
But
Which is, I've actually had that dream before. God damn it.
I have too. I mean, that's the thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, anyway, we're going to be talking about the movie 1979's Malibu High, which is free on Tubi right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one. And if you want to email us, you can email us at drivein-double-feature-podcast@gmail.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon. But until next time.
Until next time.